also have this lack in my constituency, Autis Enya West, very soon in this 2021 year of roads. My question is, that's by the way better, I mean it, yes. My question is, do you have a conscious system of alternate routes? Alternate routes, bearing in mind that quite a few of the highways, I take the Trans-West Africa Highway, for example, there are times when there's a lot of traffic buildup. Do you have a system, does the ministry have a system of alternate routes so that people have a bypass or something where another alternative to pass, instead of having to spend long hours in traffic, burning fuel, polluting the environment, and just causing themselves stress and anxiety? Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, road construction is an ongoing process, and roads undergo constant redesigning and re-engineering. And as population increases, as vehicular, that is in terms of human beings, and as vehicular population also increases, congestion starts developing, and road engineers and planners always think of building new roads, building alternative roads. In fact, construction of flyovers and interchanges and dual carriages as a result of urbanization and as a result of growth in population. So the plans are there. For instance, I have been privy to the road plan for Accra, Kumasi, and even Takrady and Tamale to some extent. Tamale is reasonable, because it's an emerging city. And I am only hoping that the city authorities in Tamale will not go the way Kumasi and Accra and Takrady had gone. They have the opportunity now. And Tamale was said to be the fastest growing city in West Africa. I stand to be corrected, but that was the impression. It's growing very fast, but the land space is there. It has not been corrupted as we have in Accra and Kumasi and Takrady. There are a lot of roads in Accra that with increasing vehicular population, human population,
we have to. Is interested in your plan for alternatives.
We have to. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Her constituency is at the outskirts of Accra.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission and the highest respect,
we told ourselves not to spend more than 2 hours. We are now doing 3 hours.
Thank you,
Doctors keep warning us that
but
we are not COVID
on
friendly.
a very important that I believe I should take the opportunity to address it. The encroachment of road corridor and road reservation. So that the question you raised, very important question, you want to do dualization, and you can't do it because of encroachment. You have to build alternative routes to ease congestion. You can't do it. So we have the plans. If I have to answer your question directly, we have the plans. We are limited, by the kind of encroachment that we have in our country. And government will have to spend millions, if not billions, on compensation before, things can be done.
Yes, your last one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Incidentally, there are serial migrants who anticipate that a road construction is going to happen, and so they get compensation from one side, and then they migrate to another part when they know that another compensation will be coming along the way. So just for advice that even if there's encroachment, something has to be done, because at some point, the citizens can just not bear the amount of traffic that they have to find themselves in. So that is your mandate that you have to see to. My last question is, in 2017, you said that 39% of the roads were rated as good, 32% were fair, 29% were poor. Can you give us the current percentages after 4 years in office? Because you are seeking to resume that same office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That exercise is going on at the end of this term because it's important for our own statistics. You know, the number of roads the government was able to impact, you know, for the last 4 years. We are building the statistics now. You know, that is why I was able to...
Honorable, so the statistic is not immediately available?
Well,
after 2017, you don't have the new road condition mix?
Yes, but Mr. Chairman, something is being done. That is why
yes, I agree. You have said it's done, but it's not ready. Let's move on.
Understand.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, this is a basic way of assessing him. What
yes,
he did...
he says it's been done. The rest is explanations, but he's answered your question. Yes, Chief. Sorry?
Well, whether he will be mindful to provide it to the House or to this committee after he leaves here.
Yes. Yes, majority.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chairman, bear with me. There's a couple of questions. The first one is constituency, my constituency specific. One nominee, the Insaum-Kumasi Highway is between twin towns, Lanter and Efutu. And if you check the population, the last population census, the voting population is here over 100,000. There have been a number of accidents on that highway and school pupils who have to cross from one side of the road to the other. I know you have enabled or facilitated the construction of a number of footbridges in Greater Accra and other parts of the country. Honorable Minister, I want to hear your assuring words to the people of Insaum-Adreji if there are plans or consideration. I need to ask this question because I recall in previous parliament I had asked ministers who had said that they had issued a view variation order to that contract for the footbridge to be constructed. I want to find out if you have thought about this or you will think about it, plans for the people of Efutu and Lanter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, that road is being worked on. If you take the entire road from Ofanko to Kwasi, there is a contractor on it currently because it's already dualized, but the road has failed, and we are rebuilding it into a 3-lane road. And then from Kwasi to Apega Junction, China Water is also on it, working. And there are about 3 or 4 interchanges, not even just ordinary foot bridges, between Ofanko and Kwasi. So where we have to do in between footbridge, depending upon the distances of the proposed interchanges to improve the safety of pedestrians, is going to be done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable nominee, you are noted to have innovatively engaged the physically challenged in your ministry to engage in a number of activities, which has been turned out to be productive. I don't know if this is the case. Are there any lessons going forward you intend to continue, or you want to do some variation to this initiative?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Chairman, the physically challenged population in our country is quite significant. Ghana Statistical Survey puts it around 3%. And if you read their documents, I got to know it because I work with the disabled in our tollbooths. But Ministry of Health puts it at 7%. You know, and there are differences there. I mean, for Ministry of Health, they look at them perhaps in a broader service, looks at perhaps for want of a better word, you know, seriously physically challenged people. But otherwise, the disparity and the differential is quite wide. But whatever it is, we have close to 1 million or so of our brothers and sisters, our children who are disabled. But they must also earn a living like all of us, and they are entitled to it. That is why the government under President Akufo-Addo made it possible for them to be employed in the toll booths, because the services and the work there see their physical condition. And as at now, we are close to 50%, you know, of the disabled people working there. It's regrettable and it's unfortunate that some of them are not being treated well for whatever reason. And my ministry is working on that. But that cannot be tolerated. When I have the privilege to be the minister, it can't be tolerated. And we are even determined to push the percentage forward. And I believe that whether 70 or 80, you know, and I will be happy to see one day that that job is reserved for disabled, if possible, 100%.
Honorable Nominee, year of roads declared by the President, again, impressive. We cannot understand the devastating effect of COVID globally, and Ghana is not left out. I can appreciate how we have related with our development partners. In the wake of the COVID, and also recognizing the fact that government may not be able to bear the entire cost of road construction, how are we positioning ourselves, especially with your ministry in wake, to be able to plow in the critical support that we need from our development partners to be able to execute on this vision of year of roads?
Mr. Chairman, obviously it's not going to be an easy task, but taking into consideration the importance of roads in the socio-economic development of the country, a way must be found out. I believe government is going to intensify its revenue drive, and that we, on our part in the ministry, will tackle critical roads and will do some prioritization, you know, to ensure that the road infrastructure does not suffer, you know, generally. And it's also important that supervision will have to 10 is expected duration, 5 years to 10 years, 10 years to 15 years for asphalt overlays without any problem, and then almost 40, 45, 50 years for concrete roads. So if we do proper road construction and they last their expected design life, it will free us to do more roads. So where we have problems with money, we should ensure quality roads. And I can assure the people of this country that my ministry will not tolerate any contractor, or for that matter, anybody who is working in the ministry, to hand over, any shoddy work to this country without getting the value for money. So we are going to do that.
Mr. Chairman, this will be my last. Honorable nominee, you appreciate how congestion has become a challenge. Are you able to relate to this committee how you have dealt with congestion over the years and your plans in the years ahead of us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I perhaps would have to repeat what I said earlier on. Congestion is a key and major bottleneck in the road infrastructure, and it must be dealt with almost on a daily basis. It's an ongoing thing. That is why roads have to undergo constant designing, redesigning, engineering, re-engineering, and so on. That's why we build interchanges to ensure even distribution of vehicular movements, so that wherever a road is congested, then we come in with long viaducts and so on, to ensure that we get proper and fair distribution of vehicles to ease congestion and traffic. And we will continue to collaborate with the city authorities and the planners of our cities to ensure that the road sector is much improved to make life comfortable for all of us. Thank you.
Honorable Honorable Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm mindful of the medical team advice not to keep too long, so I hope my colleague, the nominee, will try and give us short answers so I can move quick. I want to find out from the nominee, the Accra Tema Motor.
Yes, they started PPP arrangement.
Mr. Chairman, and we procured through the help of the World Bank, Rosin International as the transaction advisor. Am I right? Yeah, please, through the mic.
Yes.
And you also did the marketing sounding, pre-qualification, all those at Alisa.
Yes, because these are all mandatory processes of PPP arrangement.
After doing all this, did you complete the PPP arrangement or it was cancelled?
It was completed because it was out of that process that a contractor was finally appointed, Motor Angel.
I just wanted to be sure whether the PPP arrangement was concluded or it was terminated along the line.
It was concluded for us to get a competent contractor. When we started the process, 24 companies put in bids, 24. And we went through all the processes until it came to pre-qualification of 4 contractors. Then it eventually reduced to 2, and we did the technical evaluation and financing evaluation, and eventually selected one of the 2, which is Motor Angel. So Motor Angel won the bid to do.
Was it the Motor Angel? Was it procured through this PPP arrangement or through sole sourcing?
Motor Angel, Mr. Chairman, was selected as, if you like, the winner. I mean, I don't want to say the most competent, but the winner. You know, it's just like going to school and 5 people or 10 people in a class. You know, examination. Somebody can come first by obtaining 95%. I'm using tentative percentages, 95%. And he will come first. Somebody will get 94% and come second. So, clever, all of them will be competent academically, but at least by just 1 mark difference, somebody is first. So Motor Angel emerged, you know, because in all the technical evaluation, all the financing evaluation, you know, that went on with competent committees and technical, they won. No, so.
So I want to find out from the nominee that the scope under the PPP arrangement what were the scope in the PPP arrangement? What was the scope of the project?
Well, we followed the PPP arrangement, like you said. There was market sounding, and then we had the pre-qualification process, and then after that, the 4 that were shortlisted and pre-qualified, you know, brought in their proposals, and the processes went through. I mean, the 2 evaluation processes before we selected the contractor. But when you select the contractor, that is not the end of it. After that, you have to go into negotiation with the contractor. So we went into that negotiation with the contractor, and we are still working with the contractor.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
it's not fully ended.
Mr. Chairman, the PPP arrangement was for design, construct, finance, maintain, operate, and transfer after 32 years. Am I right?
No, I mean, what you are saying is not specifically, not entirely so. We are not separating the processes from the PPP arrangement. The PPP arrangement went on as specified, you know, by these rules. You know, we went through the entire process, and that is.
I was just asking the scope in the PPP arrangement. As you may be aware, Minister, when you have a project, before you call for bids, you decide what you want, what your expectations are.
Oh, yes.
And I'm saying that in this Accra Temo motorway, in the PPP arrangement, which the transaction advisor was Rotten International, It was to get someone who could find the finance, who could build, who could operate, who could maintain, and then transfer to us in 32 years. And I just wanted to be sure, is that right?
Mr. Chairman, that has not changed. If we talk about scope of projects, it has not changed.
No, I was only asking whether that was what was the arrangement.
It's not changed. The scope is not changed. And let me even throw a little light on it. The project name is Tema Motorway Project. But you mentioned scope of work, and it's important, it's relevant, because you need to establish the scope before you can do pre-feasibility and do feasibility.
That was exactly what I was just asking you, whether that was what you set out to do. Yes, no.
Yes, I have answered in the affirmative that yes, but I am...
Okay, so if that is so, because of time.
But for the benefit of, yes, it's a very important issue. I hope Mr. Chairman will oblige us with little time. I want for information.
Minister, you'll get time to discuss your business. For now, just answer the questions simply so we can move on quickly. Please. Yes or no? Move on. Because you certainly do a follow-up.
Yes, so Minister, you said yes. Am I right?
I said the scope has not changed. That's why, Mr. Chairman, with the highest respect, he has mentioned of scope. If I don't briefly tell what the scope is, it will not be understood, because I was saying that the project name is Motorway Project. So immediately somebody will think that we are only going to build the 19.5 kilometer motorway. It could be related even to the cost. But it's only a project name. That's what I want to put on record, because it goes up to Kwasi.
I know, and then there were supposed to be some overheads along the line.
Amoako Bridge to be remodeled, and to Neoplan. So it was even a 31.5 kilometer stretch of road.
And the bid value in the PPP arrangement was $480 million. Am I right?
That project is estimated to cost, by the time it is to cost about $570 million.
I'm talking about the PPP arrangement that was being advised by Rotin International. The bid figure was $480 million US. Am I right?
No, I know that what we settled on to be the cost of the project was $570 million.
So are you saying, telling this committee that when the PPP arrangement started, the bid figure was not $480 million? I just want that for a fact.
Yeah, I'm giving the contract sum, and that's what we are working with.
Did the transaction advisor advise that you retain 2 of the bidders up to negotiation? And did you do that?
Transaction advisor can advise the client, the employer, but it can give different advices, but the employer will decide what it wants.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I'm just referring the nominee to a press release that he issued on January 15th, 2021. And Mr. Chairman, page 2, and I think paragraph 2. And Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I read. During the negotiation with the contractor, it emerged that the financial arrangement proposed by the contractor were not favorable to government, hence the need to restructure the project as a design and build contract. Is it right?
Yes, it's right.
And you also said in paragraph 3, in page 3, paragraph 3, because of the sound technical design proposal, a decision was taken to retain the same contractor. Consequently, the Minister of Roads and Highways, through the Ghana Highway Authority, rescoped the project and invited motor angels to submit a sole bid proposal in line with the relevant clauses of the procurement law. Is it right?
Yes.
So you realize that the PPP arrangement that you started was not what you used in procuring the motor angel?
No, Mr. Chairman, that's what I want to explain, that at this point is normal procurement process. We wanted the contractor, to do the job on PPP arrangement, but during the negotiation, after the contract had been selected, during the negotiation, we were realizing that the viability gap, was quite wide, and that would not be in the interest of the country. And if government had to come in to support the project, then after completion, the contractor would have used the project for, I think, almost close to 30 years, because under the PPP arrangement, it is going to be a tolled road. So once we wanted certain percentage of money, for the road, we were not getting the employer, and for that matter, government of Ghana, thinking in the interest of this country, has every right to think of different source of funding to do the same project.
Perfect.
But the contractor is efficient. He has proven it. He has the technical capability to do it. So
now you understand why I was asking you that the procurement of motor angels currently was not based on the public-private partnership that was started.
And that's what Mr. Chairman, that's what I keep saying, that we should not try to differentiate that from the design and build entirely, because that processes gave us a competent contractor.
I'm not
the
disputing
funding
that.
model and the execution model that would be in the interest of our country.
Honourable Minister, I'm not disputing that, but what I'm saying is that you set out not to finance anything. You wanted companies that could come, finance this project, operate it, maintain it, be able to recoup their investment in 32 years, hand it over back to us. The 32 years, and then hand it over back to us. Then along the line, for whatever reason, you notice that the negotiation was not going to be in favor of government. So you did the right thing to make sure you protect the interests of the citizens. But you now chose to use a sole sourcing using the same contractor that was part of the bidding. And I'm asking that, why did you do that?
The sole sourcing there is, that's why I want you to appreciate the fact that we have gone through a very competitive, tedious process to get the most competent contractor to do the job. So we take advantage of the contractor, because we want to change the funding source, because we want our country to get the maximum advantage of it. It's going to be a design and build project now. So bring your proposal. So they brought in their proposal, and it wasn't even at the level of the ministry. It had to be sent to PPA, and even from the PPA, it followed up to the Central Review Committee. So it was subjected to, critical review and support. And the process has even not ended as at.
So, Minister, the challenge is this.
Yes.
You had a transaction advisor who was advising you on a PPP. who advised up to a concluded point that we couldn't proceed because of this interest that you were trying to protect, which was the right thing. And then you then chose to continue with one of them, which is the motor endure in this instance, to do a sole sourcing. And I'm saying that if you look at our procurement law, and maybe, Mr. Chairman, let me just refer the nominee, because you, in your letter, said you have followed all the procurement, all the laws of our country. If you look at the Procurement Act, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, Section 40, single source procurement. A procurement entity may engage a single source procurement under Section 41 with the approval of the board, where, that's A, where goods, works, or services are only available from a particular supplier or contractor, or if a particular supplier or contractor has exclusive rights in respect of the goods, works, or services, and a reasonable alternative or substitute does not exist. What was so unique about motor angels that now that you are going to look for the money to construct this road, you still wanted to use them as the sole contractor in this exercise?
Mr. Chairman, I know what you read from the Procurement Act. Mr. Chairman, let me remind ourselves that, and I believe you know that, I'm only making reference to it. Sole sourcing, despite the fact that it's generally discouraged, because sole sourcing normally denies the employer, if you like, two things. It denies you the opportunity to select the best competent person. And then, at times, it denies you, the opportunity to get value for money. That is why the position of the Procurement Act is that at all times, every project, every service, to be competed for should be on competitive basis, except A, B, C, D under certain clauses. And there are about 4 or 5 clauses.
Yes, so that's what I was asking. What was special about multi-endure?
Yes, if my memory serves me right. So, technically, sole sourcing is not illegal.
Obviously.
Provided you do it within the framework of the law.
And that's what I'm just asking.
Yes. And
what necessitated the use of multi-endure for sole sourcing when it could have been competitive, because now you are going to look for the money. It's not like the previous time when it was PPP, where you've gone through all the tendering process, people who were bringing their money. Now that you were going to look for the money, why did you choose to use sole sourcing? What was unique about the multi-endure that you have to select them at the expense of maybe local contractors, other contractors? What was unique?
You read a paragraph which started, you have it, which started like, because of the technical competence of, because of the proven technical competence of the contractor or something.
You're talking about the paragraph 3 that I read.
I think the last paragraph.
That was your words, where you said,
yes,
because of the sound technical design proposal.
Yes, and don't forget that, this, was not something which was being done exclusively by the Road Ministry. This is a recommendation by the technical group, majority of which were not even from my ministry. There's a technical group from Ministry of Finance and a technical group that did this work.
I'm not disputing, but that's not part of the condition for exclusive right for
the
sole sourcing.
recommendation, for the recommendation to government. And let me also, Mr. Chairman, draw an attention to that. These are all negotiations. And once we want to change, we have gone through a PPP process, gotten a competent, proven competent contractor. Is it not advantageous to the country, as far as that project is concerned, to work with him? And if things are agreed and processes are agreed, we should not forget that it will go back to cabinet for cabinet approval and end up in parliament, to end it. So it's not a process that is ending with my ministry. And let me also put it on record. And I say this on authority, that this project cost of almost 570 million United States dollars, and the complexities of that project, as we stand now, no Ghanaian contractor has the capacity to undertake this project.
If the person,
no contractor in Ghana.
If the person is to come with this money, I agree with you. But if you are sourcing for the money, are you saying that no Ghanaian company or group of companies can be put together to do this when we are looking for the money? Is that what you're saying?
Mr. Chairman, if you, with the highest respect, if you listen to me well, I say no Ghanaian contractor has the capacity to do this job. No Ghanaian contractor.
No, I just want to get this clear.
Has the capacity
Your statement
to do this job.
I just want to understand you. That you are saying that where we are finding this money as a sovereign country, we are going to procure 570 million. When we put our contractors, we cannot get them to be able to do this job unless a foreign company. Is that what you are saying? Where they are going to look for the money themselves, I will agree with you. But where we are providing the money, are we saying that there's no local contractor or group of contractors that we can put together to be able to do this work? Is that what you're saying for a fact?
But, Mr. Chairman, it's not stated anywhere in this document that Ghana is providing the money. What is it stated in the document? What is it stated in the document that Ghana is providing the money? That is why, with the highest respect, you are getting it wrong. Where is it stated in the document that Ghana government is providing the money? Ghana government is not providing the money.
Mr. Chairman, that was why I took the nominee step after step. The reason why we had to abrogate the PPP was that they wanted Ghana government to contribute to the financing. And to be precise, they wanted us to contribute 80% of the financing.
No, not
and you, let me finish so that you can answer. So that then the minister said, if as a country, we wanted a PPP arrangement, you are coming in board, and you want us to contribute to the financing, then we rather cancel and finance and look for the money, whether through loan or through other means, so that you can now do the work. Is that not what has led to the cancellation of the PPP?
Mr. Chairman, not necessarily so. And, Mr. Chairman, we should also not lose sight of the fact that this is not the first of its kind. We are privileged to be members of this House. We have approved many loans in this House, all these years, from the days of NDC, MPP, as we get opportunity to rule every 8 years, until now. And if you take all loan agreements that come for our discussion and approval from the finance committee, most of them, there are always Ghana government counterpart funding. So if you are doing a project with a foreign company and there is government counterpart funding. It's normal. We have been.
Let me just ask to end maybe probably this banter. Is Motor Angel going to arrange for the financing for this project?
We haven't settled on that, but if they come...
Then let me ask this again. Is the Ghana government going to arrange for the funding of this project?
It's not Ghana government. If Motor Angel is not able to bring the funding, and any company, it could be even a Ghanaian company, can arrange foreign funding for the project, and can work with Motor Angel to provide the technical advice. So we are in the process.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll not belabor this. The most important is that if the company is not financing the project, as you said, you have not settled on that. Ghana government, as of now, is not the one to settle on it, but you've gone ahead to sign the contract. Is that right? On 16th.
That is
on 16th of December 2020.
Contract.
You've signed the contract.
Government is in a position to say that having gone through these processes, what is being recommended by the technical committee to government. No, don't forget, government hasn't taken the decision yet. This is at the technical level.
But Minister, you have signed the contract on the 16th of December 2020. Is that right?
We are talking about commercial. Look at the contract.
Commercial contract.
Yes,
was signed.
Commercial contract is different from the final contract to execute the project.
I just want to find out, in the commercial contract.
If you don't sign a commercial contract, what will be the basis for the company even to go ahead to give you the detailed design? What will be the basis? No company worth its salt will go ahead, invest in
a design
technical designing if it's not holding.
Minister, I just want, Honorable Nominee, I just want to find out which of them comes first. Is it the commercial contract, cabinet, and parliament? Which one comes first? Because you don't have, from your own your statement, you are yet to go to seek cabinet approval. You are yet to seek parliamentary approval. But you've gone ahead to sign a commercial contract. Which one comes first?
Oh, cabinet first, and then it will come to parliament. It will come. Whatever comes to parliament.
Well, let me just move on. So
would have passed through.
But this one that you have signed, the commercial contract you've signed, is for design and build. Am I right? It's for design and build.
Yes, it will enable the company to go ahead to do its details.
The financing is not yet settled, based on the answer you gave earlier, right? The financing, as to who is going to finance it, is not yet settled. Is that right? From your answer earlier. It means that we are not yet settled on who is going to finance it. Is that right?
Mr. Chairman, that is why I have said that we have not come to the end of the processes.
I'm not disputing that. Yes. I'm only asking a question. That the financing is not yet settled. So the financing is not settled.
The process is ongoing, Mr. Chairman.
Why didn't you add maintenance to it, as it was in the PPP arrangement?
It's a good suggestion, but that's what I'm saying, that it's a process. So if you make such a suggestion, it will be taken into consideration and it will influence the eventual contract to be.
So, Nominee, why has also, or let me ask this before, are the road length in this design and build the same as when you were talking in the PPP arrangement? Is it the same, the road length?
The length.
The road length in this build and design
Yeah.
and build by motor and
No.
is it the same as it was during the PPP arrangement?
No, it's not.
Which one is longer? Which one is bigger? Is it the one now is bigger, or the one in the original PPP arrangement is bigger?
One. The length was, I think, 30.
If you can't even remember the figure, I just wanted to.
It's now 27. It's because originally it was to start from roundabout. Mm-hmm.
So what you are
roundabout up with going motorway, but you know that was a
so the original was
yes.
bigger.
So
that's all I wanted to find out.
And what it now about 3.6 short. But that has added about Akosumbo undertaken by a company called Inza. So it's fair that once they have taken that, we reduce that. We reduce it. The road length. Yeah, the road length.
So why has the big figure, the big cost, changed from $480 million to $570 million?
I don't have the figures here, but that the fact that the length is reduced. If we talk about scope of project, it's not only the length. I think the length could even be an infinitesimal aspect of it. You could reduce the length and increase certain aspects.
I'm not disputing.
I don't have that figure.
So are you assuming that different build what you are saying? $70 million. Is that the reason?
That is the but I cannot, because I'm saying that the process has not closed.
Okay, that's fine.
The process has not
Have
closed.
you done due diligence on motor engine? Malawi, the Malawi port, what you call the Lake Malawi port issue that they were to be sure of their ability to be able to do.
We are concerned there is nothing legally wrong in dealing with that company.
How soon do you hope that this agreement will come to Parliament?
It depends upon the speed with which we work. Now, you know, it will take perhaps some few weeks, depending upon even what all of us work. Cabinet is not in place now. You know, if cabinet were to be in place,
maybe by the end of the second quarter of this year.
Yes, because if any document goes to cabinet, it takes a maximum of 2 weeks, at least from my working experience. At times even 1 week, depending upon the time, because it goes to the cabinet subcommittee, and if it's looked at and referred to the plenary session of cabinet, you know, it's either approved or rejected. Just as we experienced.
Okay. Minister, maybe let's move away from the motorway. Let's move away from the motorway so that we'll just do this manual as an end. In an answer to an earlier question about this the 500 million plan in the budget of 2018 on paragraph 184 on the agric routes, the answer you gave, how much of this money has been spent? You couldn't give the specific. Do you provide that information?
Yes,
So that I can make the request to Chair that you provide that information to us.
yes.
Okay. Also, when you about the cost of the cost of the asphalt per kilometer, the cost of asphalt overlay, you use 1.5 million. Is that average?
It could cost that depending upon the.
We're talking about average,
yes.
I know.
And it could be more expensive,
But you're using average figure. You're using an average.
Well, I say it could. I have given the minimum amount, and
but do you remember that?
It could even be twice that.
Do you remember that in the Sino-Hydro agreement that came to Parliament, the average cost for this same overlay was about 2 billion? Remember that? You brought it to Parliament.
Mr. Chairman, I said
Minister, we understand that.
Yes, it depends upon you.
The Vice President speech that was said in the Lighthouse Chapel used 2.8.
It could be correct,
And then the current construction that you are doing from Hohoi to Itoji, 7 kilometers, and it's costing us 111 million cedis. Check the average, over 15 million.
Mr. Chairman, I think that I have not previewed up. I don't know where it's come from. I haven't done the studies. It has not been.
The reason why we are asking this is because we ourselves, as politicians, we keep accusing each other of unnecessarily inflating. When you were in opposition, you used it extensively that this was like virtually stealing from the taxpayers. Today you have a situation like this. That's why we have to all be very careful, because like I agree with you,
yes.
If we are going to construct an asphalt overlay in, say, a more clay area,
yes.
and a more stony area,
exactly.
the cost will never, can never be the same. And we always use these averages to literally make fun of each other. And I think that as road minister, you should take advantage to let us put a stop to this.
Exactly.
The location and the requirement of the soil type will determine the.
So, Honorable Chief Whip, the commentary is enough. You and I know what we do as politicians. Now you ask him questions and leave your commentary out, please.
Okay, just a follow-up. Honorable Mr. Chair, with respect, nominee, are you able to distinguish the asphalt overlay and asphalt?
Honorable Leader, after him I'll come to you. So
just a follow-up on him, and I don't have any questions.
After that, you do the follow-up, so we save time.
No, I don't intend to. I just wanted the clarification on yours, and that's it. I'm just doing a follow-up. I won't ask questions. Mr. Chairman, in an answer to an earlier question, the nominee said that payments for certificates are done on first come, first served. Did I hear you say that? In an answer to an earlier question, you said that certificates by road contractors are paid on first come, first served. Did I hear you say that? Oh, okay, generally as a principle.
Speak into your mic for the record, please.
Generally, as a principle, yes, but we cannot follow that all the time, because there are always circumstances, different peculiarities, different things, and so it depends. And I can give you one classic example. Somewhere 2018, latter part of 2018, we had to complete 6-foot bridges on the Adenta road. the construction was ongoing, but because of the knockdown of one or two people, there was agitation and something.
So you have to jump the queue to be able to get that done.
Something like that.
Understandable.
We had to engage, 6 different contractors, and even to pay them upfront to complete the full bridges, because we had to respond to the social need of the people.
Minister, because that earlier when you answered, this didn't come after. That was what I was coming from.
Yes.
I understand you. So, but is it abnormal for someone to have a certificate there for the past 4 years not paid? Is that normal?
It depends, and it could be look at case to case basis. There must be a reason, why something is happening. But otherwise, I can tell you, payment, we have to be fair to everybody. All these issues come up for one simple reason. I can tell you, Mr. Chairman. Assuming the resources were there and everybody is paid, everybody, who will complain? But in a situation where you don't have the resources to pay everybody at the same time, and in a situation where we have critical roads to construct, you have to manage the payment in such a way that you get work done, provided in all circumstances.
You hope that is done with some equity and
fairly and with good conscience. And we do it with good conscience and fairly. And the records are there for anybody who cares.
Okay, Honorable Nominee, if you travel between Violation traffic light and American House traffic light, you see that the asphalt overlay was done very recently. I mean, I applied that road a lot, probably less than 8 months. And you always see asphalt overlay are already developing potholes. You go from Asharboche, the highway, towards Lakeside Estate, and you see an asphalt overlay that has been done towards the school junction, and they are already developing potholes. And I'm sure there are so many examples around, dotted around, where asphalt that we all know may keep long are already developing potholes. Don't you think the time has come for us in our design? We don't just do design and build, but design, build, and maintain. And if I know I'm going to maintain it for a number of years, maybe I'll be forced to do that. Don't you think that it's time for us to maybe start looking at it that way?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You are right. Asphalt overlay can crumble, can fold, can break. It's true, because in doing the overlay, the contractor has to be very careful and has to be professional, because asphalt overlay, for instance, must be laid hot at a certain temperature. You get the temperature wrong and it can have effect. 2, and perhaps more important and fundamental, asphalt overlay is an overlay. The base must be strong. If your base is not strong and you lay it, within a short time you will have problems.
So, Minister, in those instances where they have not ensured this, what are you doing?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am coming to that, because that is what we call shoddy work, which should not be tolerated by anybody. Because if the base is wrong and you have not stabilized the base, you shouldn't put the overlay. And if you're a contractor and you do that, now in my ministry, you will go back to redo it.
So we should, those of us who apply these rules that I mentioned, should expect those contractors to come back to fix it.
No, you will go back and contract. Some contractors have.
We expect them to go back to do it.
Contractors have been directed to go back and do it. I won't sit down here to make mention of contractors.
Honorable Nominee, the Afenya, the Winya Road towards the Eastern Corridor. In May 2020, you were in this house and you said the contractor is on site. Are you aware the contractor is not on site and the congestion on that road, the last 2 weeks we were heading towards Atta for workshop, is so terrible? Is there something that you hope could be done to get the contractor to be on site?
Thank you for the information. Yes, we know the traffic congestion on that stretch of the road. All being well, it will come to an end very soon because of
the fiscal persons with fiscal challenge that you've been engaged. You know, you set a target of 50%. The persons with disability on the toll booths that you set a target of 50%. Are you aware now it's back to about 30% because the private contractors that you engage, I don't know whether in the agreement with them, this 50% is not stated in it because they are laying, many of them, which you yourself admitted that sometimes they are not treating them well.
Ordered an investigation into that, and I have the report.
So the PWD should be rest assured that you take it up and ensure that this will be done.
I have the numbers and I have those, the list of those who are working there now. And I don't compromise on it. An incident happened a year ago. You know, the manager in charge of toll booths, and we have about 36 of them across the country, in connection with disabled. I can tell you, and I can say it on authority, the manager, about 1.5 years ago, who was in charge of the toll booths with Ministry of, Ghana Highway Authority, you know, joked with this policy. And I can tell you, he was removed. Because the people of this country who are physically challenged also have to live like all of us.
Mr. Chairman, my last question. The last question is, Honourable Minister, we all know that we have to maintain, rehabilitate existing roads. We also need to build new roads, bridges, and what have you. And we don't lack engineers, capacity in engineers and contractors. What all of us agree is a major challenge is funding source. What innovative ways are you going to introduce in this, if given the opportunity for a second time, to enhance the funding of major roads? Will you consider, for example, PPP, BOT for our trunk road, where you are not going to be financing it, but they will do it and then take to be able to recover it? With any other innovative method to be able to finance and get a lot of roads done in our country?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the surest ways is what you have suggested yourself, you know, all these arrangements, you know, are feasible, you know. But the most important thing is that when you walk that route, it means that the potential investor will have to toll the road. At the moment, Ghana pays the lowest rate in the whole world. Ghana, we pay the lowest rate in the whole world. So if you want to go...
You say rate in what?
Yes, toll rate.
Oh, okay, the toll rate.
If you want to go BOT, OOT, or whatever, as we see in other parts of the world, the research that has been done in my ministry on the average toll rate is around $1. And Ghana, $1 is close to 6 cedis. But here, people pay 50 pesos for toll rate. And if I am giving the approval, is one of the things I'm going to do immediately. But it has to go to cabinet first, proposal of increasing the toll rate, and it will come to this honorable house. And I believe all of you, everybody here will support it. And Ghanaians will also accept it because it's like the paddle of the egg and the chicken. Which one should come first? Are people prepared to pay more to get good roads, or they should get good roads before they pay? Because I remember the last time, I can't say the exact, the last time toll rates were increased, I think it was during the time of NDC. There was so much hue and cry in this country, from raising it from 50 pesos to 1 cedi. We also know what happened in Ghana. Drivers were saying they will go on strike and all that. So will Ghanaians be prepared to pay more for toll rate, as we are seeing in other parts of the world? We pay the lowest rate in the whole world. Meanwhile, we want good roads. Ghanaians should be prepared to pay for good roads. And
it's all right,
given the opportunity, it will come up.
It's enough. Yes.
Yes. Council, you've run us through the average cost per kilometer of overlay asphaltic road. Minimum, yes. You mentioned 1.5 million cities. Yes. That's correct. So, an asphaltic overlay, as I understand it to be, is that which is done on an existing road. Correct. Yes.
It must be on an existing road, and the base must be firm and strong. Otherwise, it will.
So now, give us an idea of the average cost of asphaltic concrete, where you have to do some earthworks, fill and cut, and all that, where you'd have to do more culverts, if it is swampy area. What should we expect in terms of cost?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it's always dangerous to predict or to state a certain amount as representing the cost of a kilometer of road. It's always very dangerous. Like you said, if you want to build a concrete road, you want to know the cost of, say, a kilometer of concrete road. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I can't predict that. I'm saying so because generally, and as a matter of principle, it depends upon, one, the scope of work, and it depends upon the technical and the ground conditions on the road.
So it is your case that the Sino-Hydro route that the Honorable Minority Chief Whip referred to is not that of an asphaltic overlay. It is a complete road, the cost arrived at was as a result of a complete assessment of the costs, earthworks, etc., that will make it a complete concrete road, correct?
Mr. Chairman, we are talking about two different things here. An overlay is a different...
Wait for a moment.
Yes, overlay is on an existing road.
No. You see, Honorable Muntaka related your minimum cost per kilometer of an overlay to that of the Sino-Hydro road, to suggest that why is it that it's costing so much here and there. I want you to clarify, the Sino-Hydro, is it an overlay, or that one is a complete road, that's a new road that is to be constructed, to justify why it is not the same?
Sino-Hydro, with the exception of the road they are working on Eastern Corridor, are building surface dressing roads. So they are building complete roads. So it's different from asphalt overlay. Yes.
And he also raised this issue about PPP, that you had to terminate at a point because of the costs. It wasn't going to benefit Ghana. But then when you had to do the tender, you did sole sourcing. Why did you sole source the same company, was his concern. Is it the case that time was of the essence to proceed so that you don't engage in further delays, having gone through the system already?
No, Mr. Chairman, with the highest respect, it wasn't a question of timing. That is why I explained to him that it wasn't a question of timing. We were simply making and taking advantage of a competent contractor who had gone through the mill, international competitive bidding, and gone through all the processes and selected. So, but because we wanted to use design and build and new funding source, that is all. So it wasn't a question of timing, and that's why I say that we were using the same contractor, not necessarily as a sole source process. No.
Chairman, thank you very much.
Yes. Chairman, thank you very much. Honorable Minister for Road Designate, I will take you back to your own quote in answering the Honorable Muntaka on the Motor Angel contract. We started from PPP through sole sourcing, now to a signed contract. And these were your words, Minister. No Ghanaian contractor has the capacity to do this work. Would you want it to be your legacy tomorrow that a Ghanaian contractor will be facilitated with your leadership as minister to have the capacity with government support to be able to execute contracts of that nature and character?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I do not want to be quoted out of context. I made a specific statement. I said that kind of work, the magnitude of the work, currently no Ghanaian contractor has the capacity to do it. I use the word capacity. I wasn't talking about technical know-how. I said capacity, because what you have to go through and work of that magnitude, even to get a performance bond from Ghana, any bank from Ghana. Contractors themselves know that they don't have the capacity to do it. That's why we have to build the capacity.
He's not challenging that. He says